Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Daily English Practice. I'm John.
And I'm Mary. We're so happy you're here with us today. If you love learning English through real, emotional stories, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Today, we have a very special story. A story about a boy who believed he wasn't good enough. A boy who carried heavy doubts in his heart until one moment changed his life forever.
Yes, John, this is not just an English listening story. It's a story about hope, about courage, and about learning to believe in yourself again. So sit somewhere comfortable, take a breath, and join us.
Let's begin. The Quiet Boy.
There once was a young boy named Evan. He was 13, small, quiet, and always walking with his head down. If you saw him at school, you would notice something immediately. He tried very hard not to be noticed.
Evan believed, deep inside, that he wasn't enough. Not smart enough, not strong enough, not talented enough, not anything enough.
Every day, he sat in class near the window seat. He loved looking outside, at the sky, the trees, the birds, because the world outside felt peaceful. It didn't judge him. It didn't ask him to be perfect. It didn't tell him he was failing.
But inside the classroom, things were different. The teacher would call his name, and Evan's heart would start beating fast, too fast. His hands would shake, his throat would tighten, and when he tried to answer a question, his voice came out small, soft, almost invisible.
Some students laughed, not loudly, but just enough for Evan to hear, just enough to hurt. Where the belief began.
You might be wondering, why did Evan feel this way? Why did he believe he wasn't enough? Well, it all began at home.
Evan lived with his father, a man who worked hard, but carried heavy expectations. His father loved him very much, but he didn't always know how to show it.
When Evan brought home a test score of 80%, his father didn't say, "Good job." Instead, he said,
I know you can do better.
when Evan cleaned his room, his father didn't say, "Thank you." He said, "You missed a spot."
When Evan tried something new, drawing, writing, playing the guitar, his father didn't smile. He said,
"That's okay, but it's not great."
over time, Evan started to hear those words even when his father wasn't speaking. In his mind, a voice whispered, "You're not enough. You're not enough. You're not enough." The breaking moment.
One day, something happened at school that changed everything. It was a group project. Evan was paired with Noah and Michael, two boys who were loud, confident, and honestly, a little careless.
They didn't want Evan's ideas. They didn't want his help. They barely even looked at him.
But when the teacher asked the group to present, guess who they pushed to the front?
Yes, Evan. He stood there in front of the class, holding the paper with shaking hands. The room felt too big. The lights felt too bright. His breathing felt too fast. He tried to speak, but the words stuck in his throat.
Noah whispered, "Come on, just read it." Michael sighed loudly, "Ugh, he's messing it up."
Then someone in the back said something Evan never forgot.
"Why is he even in our group?"
Those words broke something inside him. He wanted to disappear. He wanted the floor to open and swallow him. He wanted the day to end.
That afternoon, Evan didn't go home right away. He walked to the small park near his school, a quiet place with old wooden benches and tall trees. He sat alone, head down, hands in his pockets, feeling like a failure.
But someone else was there that day too. A woman, older, gentle, with kind eyes, was sitting on a bench nearby, painting the trees with watercolor. Her name was Mrs. Riley.
She looked at Evan for a moment, noticing his sadness, and then, very softly, She asked, "Would you like to sit here?"
Evan didn't answer, but he moved closer.
Mrs. Riley continued painting as if nothing was strange. After a few moments, she spoke again. "You know, sometimes the world makes us believe lies about ourselves."
Evan looked up. Lies? Yes, she said with a small smile. The kind of lies that say you're not enough.
Evan froze. Those were the exact words he always heard in his mind. How did you know?" he whispered. Mrs. Riley didn't look surprised. "Because I used to believe the same lie."
And, just like that, the wall Evan had built around his heart began to crack.
The story behind the painter, she told him something he never expected. "When I was your age," she said, "I thought I was terrible at everything. My classmates laughed at me. My teachers ignored me. And someone I loved told me I was useless."
Evan's eyes widened. You too? Yes, she nodded. But one day, an art teacher saw me drawing in the hallway. He didn't judge me. He didn't tell me I was wrong. He simply said, "This is beautiful. Keep going." And that small sentence changed everything.
Evan looked at the painting in her hands. Soft colors, gentle strokes. Beautiful. Then Mrs. Riley turned to him and said words that touched his heart deeply. "Listen, Evan. You are enough. Not because you're perfect, not because you never fail, but because you are learning, because you are trying, because you are you, and that is enough."
Evan felt something warm inside. It wasn't excitement. It wasn't happiness. It was hope. A small spark, but real. We left Eli standing outside the classroom, holding his math test with a big red 43% written on top. He felt disappointed, embarrassed, and most of all, he felt small. But this moment, the moment that could have broken him, turned into a moment that started to build him because someone finally saw him, someone who cared. Her name was Ms. Rivera.
Ah, yes, Ms. Rivera. Every great story has someone like her, right? Not a superhero, not someone with magical powers, but someone who notices, someone who pays attention when the world is too busy. What did she say to Eli again?
She walked up to him slowly, not rushing, not judging, and she said, "Eli, you are not your grades. You are not your mistakes. You are so much more than you think." And John, he didn't know how to respond.
Of course he didn't. When you've spent years believing you're not enough, compliments feel like lies, right?
Exactly. Eli looked down at the floor and whispered, "I'm just not smart. Maybe this is all I am." But Ms. Rivera wasn't having it. She knelt down beside him and said something powerful. "Eli, who told you that? Who told you that you must be perfect to be worthy?" He didn't have an answer because nobody told him directly. He just absorbed it from the world around him, from the silence, from the comparisons, from every time he felt left behind.
I think a lot of our listeners can relate to that. Sometimes nobody says the words, but the feeling grows anyway.
Right. And then she said the sentence that changed everything. "Eli, I believe in you, but you need to start believing in yourself too." And for the first time, Eli felt a spark, not a fire, not confidence, just a spark. But a spark is enough to begin.
So what did Ms. Rivera do next?
She invited him to join a small after-school reading group. Just 3 students, very simple, no pressure. Eli hesitated, but she added, "You don't have to be perfect. You only have to try." And somehow, because of the gentleness in her voice, Eli nodded. That afternoon, he sat in a circle with 2 other students in Ms. Rivera. They read a short story together, and something surprising happened.
Don't tell me. Eli was good at something?
He was very good. Ms. Rivera asked, Who can explain why the main character felt lonely in the scene? The other students shrugged. Eli raised his hand, very slowly, and said, well, maybe it's because he's trying to please everyone and he doesn't want to disappoint anyone. So he hides his feelings. The room went silent. Ms. Rivera looked at him with genuine admiration and said, that's a beautiful insight. And Eli felt something he'd almost forgotten existed. Pride.
You know, sometimes kids who struggle academically are actually carrying the biggest hearts and the deepest understanding of emotions. They're not failing because they're weak. They're failing because they're overwhelmed.
Exactly. And Eli began to surprise himself. Every week, he showed up to the reading group. At first, he sat quietly, but slowly, he started sharing his thoughts. He discovered something he didn't know. He was good at understanding people, good at noticing details, good at empathy. And that skill, that gift, became the foundation of his confidence.
So we're finally seeing Eli change from the inside. Not because someone solved his problems, but because someone helped him see who he already was.
Yes, and this is important for our listeners. Eli didn't become confident overnight. It was slow, gradual, sometimes painful. Some days he still felt like a failure. Some days he still felt invisible. But now he had a small voice inside him saying, maybe I'm not as broken as I thought. That voice grew stronger with time. Eli opened the door to his tiny bedroom. It wasn't messy. It wasn't decorated. It was just plain. A small wooden desk, a weak lamp, a window that faced the neighbor's wall. He sat down and placed his notebook on his lap, the notebook he always hid at school. Inside it were his dreams, but none of them felt real. But instead of feeling inspired, Eli felt embarrassed. He whispered to himself, who am I kidding? I'm not smart enough, not talented enough, not brave enough.
Eli closed the notebook quickly. He felt something heavy in his chest, like a stone. He wanted to cry but couldn't. He wanted to scream but didn't. He whispered again, I'm not enough. I'll never be enough.
Those words hurt him more than anything the other kids ever said.
And here's the hard truth. Sometimes the most painful voice is the one inside your own head.
Suddenly, Eli heard a gentle knock on his door. Eli? It was his older sister, Lena. She entered slowly, holding 2 cups of hot cocoa. She sat beside him without saying a word. Eli stared at the floor. Lena finally spoke softly. Eli, I know something's wrong. He didn't answer.
After a long silence, Eli whispered, I don't think I'm good at anything. I don't think I'm important. I don't think I'll ever be enough.
Lena looked at him, not with surprise, but with deep understanding.
She gently touched his shoulder and said, Eli, that's not true. You're just a seed that hasn't had sunlight yet.
She gently touched his shoulder and said, Eli, that's not true. You're just a seed that hasn't had sunlight yet.
But Eli shook his head. He didn't believe her. Not yet.
Lena opened his notebook quietly. Eli tried to grab it back, but she held onto it gently. She read the first page, then she smiled, a warm, proud, emotional smile. Eli, this is beautiful. He looked at her confused. Beautiful? His words? His dream? He wasn't expecting that. And for the first time, a tiny crack of light entered Eli's darkness.
The truth is, sometimes we believe we are not enough because we've never had someone who truly sees us. Lena saw Eli, really saw him, and her words were about to open the first door of his new beginning.
Eli took a deep breath, opened the notebook, and looked at the first page. A simple sentence. One day, I want to make something that matters. Yes. And it's beautiful, John, because this is the part where everything changes for him. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because he finally changes the way he sees himself.
So, Eli is standing outside the old community hall, the place where the youth talent night will happen, the place he promised he'd go, but secretly hoped would be canceled.
I remember that feeling when your heart beats so fast you can hear it in your ears, and your hands shake, and every voice in your head tells you to run.
Exactly. And Eli actually does take one step backward. He almost walks away.
But then he hears something. His father's voice from long ago. Eli, your job in this world is not to be perfect. Your job is to try.
And for the first time in a long time, Eli believes it.
He walks inside. There are bright lights, people talking, chairs moving, laughter. It's loud, and Eli feels small again.
But Daniel, the boy who had encouraged him earlier, spots him and waves like he's seeing his best friend.
And that little moment, that tiny, simple moment, makes Eli feel like he belongs.
When it's finally his turn to perform, Eli walks onto the stage. His legs shake, his voice almost disappears. People are waiting.
But he remembers something he wrote in his notebook. Maybe I'm not confident yet, but maybe confidence starts with a small, brave moment.
So, he takes a breath. He reads his short poem. Not perfectly, not loudly, but honestly.
And when he finishes, the room is quiet for 2 seconds. Eli thinks he failed.
Then, someone claps. Then another. And suddenly, the entire room is cheering.
After the show, people come to him and say things like, "That was beautiful. You made me feel something. You're brave."
And for the first time, Eli doesn't try to push the compliments away. He doesn't say, no, I'm not good. He simply says,
Because he finally understands. Being enough doesn't mean being perfect. It means showing up. It means trying. It means being yourself even when your voice shakes.
Weeks later, Eli starts helping younger kids write poems. He shares his story, his fears, his mistakes. He teaches them that not enough is just a lie your mind tells you when it's scared.
And one evening, after helping a little boy with homework poem, Eli walks home under a pink evening sky, smiling.
Because he finally knows something big, something powerful. I am enough. I always was.
And that simple truth changes his entire life.
If Eli's story touched your heart, remember this. You are enough too. Even on days when you doubt yourself, even on days when you're tired, your story still matters.
And if you enjoyed learning English through this emotional story, don't forget to support our channel.
Hit the subscribe button, like the video, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any new motivational English stories.
Thank you for listening with your heart today. We're John and Mary, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Take care and keep believing in yourself.